Hello, this is Jackie Welch.
Hello.
Hey, Jackie.
I'm trying to guess. I'm on my phone, so I'm trying to guess who those lovely voices are.
Jim Cavino for one, Black Horse
Oh,
Tavern.
great.
Hi, Jack.
Hi, Jim.
Jackie.
Nice to hear your voice.
You too.
Thank you for all you do for the town, by the way.
Well, thank you for doing such a great job with the select men and women of Winchester.
And who was the other voice?
It's Mariano.
Oh, hey, Mariano. Sorry, I didn't recognize your voice. Good morning.
That's
Another
fine.
beautiful day.
It's still early. I haven't had all my coffee yet, so my voice probably sounds different.
Hey, everybody, it's Susan. Good
Hi,
morning.
Susan.
Morning, Susan.
Still getting organized.
Yeah, Jim, I think part of your, I think you were on the agenda Monday night as well, if I remember correct. I had to jump off the meeting because our daughter got commissioned in the Army, and we were, I was on the meeting until like around 8:30, and then I had to jump, so I apologize for that.
Quite all right.
Good morning, everyone. We'll just wait a couple more minutes to make sure everybody logs on in time, and then we'll get going. And Paula and Jim, I see that you are here, and Mary as well. So we'll make sure that we start with those business items first, so you don't have to hang out on here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike, I'm on by phone. This is
Oh,
Jackie.
you are. You're there, Jackie. Okay. And I know Amy's dialing in now.
Okay. I'm actually switching over to computer.
Sorry, would you say
Probably
Jackie?
caused an echo, but now hopefully it's better.
Okay.
You can hear me okay, right?
Yep, I hear you. Hey,
Thank you.
Mike, it's Susan. I was wondering if you could just run through the agenda verbally, but right at the beginning, just so everybody knows what's going on. Please.
Yes, I will. Yep.
Thank you.
So I'll open the Thursday, May 21st, 2020 morning of the Winchester Select Board. Joining me are Select Board members Susan Verdicchio serves as Vice Chair, Mariano Goluboff, Jackie Welch, and I think Amy Shapiro will be joining us momentarily. Our Town Manager, Lisa Wong, Comptroller, Stacy Ward, and Michelle Viber, who is our Human Resources Director, is here as well. And just at the outset to give the lay of the land of the meeting, we will take a couple of the items out of order, but I will read them as far as they were posted. So on the agenda, item 1 is state of emergency. As I said before, these meetings were originally intended to really address COVID-related state of emergency necessary decisions that we couldn't handle in our regular sessions on Mondays. So that's been a static agenda item for us. We will need, item 2 is remote town meeting. We'll need to take a vote. Personnel Board Article number 23 is the 3rd item. The request from the Griffin Museum for the Photoville fence is number 4. We have listed it working session. I'm doubtful we will get to that today. I'm intending a hard stop for this meeting at 10 a.m. I think everyone has had a lot of meetings lately, and we have members that have other items to address as part of their day. Discussion of the advisory board is number 5. The warrant articles number 6, and the Black Horse Tavern outdoor seating request. It's my understanding around 9:30, Susan McPhee will be here under the matters from the audience part of our meeting in order to just to raise an issue of a solar contract for the town to pursue. So we won't be voting on that today, but it's something that is very time sensitive. So Susan will be with us at 9:30. So with that said, we will start off with the item number 4, the Griffin Museum, and I think Paula is here. Paula, if you could speak a little bit to the request. I know that we've seen the fantastic proposal that was sent over, and just to see if there are any questions from the board.
Sure. Would you like me to start now, Mike?
Please, yeah.
Okay. Joyce Westner is also here, and Mary McKenna is having trouble with sound. She's on, but she has no audio.
Okay.
So I'll go forward. So we've been working on this project for about 2 years, moving it from Boston. I never really liked Boston, and I have always wanted to make Winchester its home. I thought it'd be, well, you know, that was before the virus, that we didn't anticipate this. We were planning to go on the viaduct, and you know what happened there. And so the people that we work with in New York City is United Photo Industries, called Photoville, and this particular project is in now 13 cities across the United States. It features, it's all photography. It's there's 100 photographers on the fence, and it usually is 1,000 linear feet of banner material. But for our town, we did major inspection of all the sites. in Winchester, and UPI came up with several iterations of the presentations, one of them being a cube, but we decided that the cubes really weren't ADA compliant, nor we felt they weren't safe because the partitions went down to the ground. And of course, I have that fear of something under my bed, and I asked them to change that out. And rather than rebuild the design, they went with another option, which are the X's. They are going to be potentially sprinkled throughout the town. I did provide a map so you could see the idea of them. There are potentially 25 installations, but because I haven't been able to, I'm in stasis, that number may change to fewer, although we haven't had that conversation. Right now, as I know it, it would be 25. There'd be a cluster at the Griffin, there'd be a cluster at the high school. The high school students that are part of photosynthesis are participating, and they've been integral in actually producing this fence as well. The people on the fence are photographers from all over the world. They've been juried by a prominent jury, curators from across the world and the country. And I said there's about over 100 participants. We've been talking very closely about the install. Usually when we put the fence up in Boston, UPI does it, but I bring volunteers in to cut some of the costs down. This year I just couldn't do that. I didn't feel like I wanted to ask people to put themselves in jeopardy, and so I've paid extra money in order to have UPI do the installations themselves. What they've done, they are in the process of putting together a plan. They have their teams are teams of two. There'll be multiple teams of two, and these people have been isolating themselves together so that there would be no potential problems there. We had planned it originally to install on the 11th, opening up on the 13th, but the UPI needs some extra time in order to fulfill the 2-week isolation. So our proposal is that they install around the 17th and we would open on the 20th. Originally there was going to be a festival. We were going to have programming in front using the X's as backdrops with presentations by area cultural organizations. In our opinion, we're not safe to do that at this point in time. Down the line, perhaps before the installation would come down, we would like to see that happen. But area cultural organizations are still going to be involved. They will produce programming suiting their organizations, but remotely. Most of us are going online with all of our program anyway. In essence, we probably won't cancel the festival, but that festival will be all virtual. What will that consist of? Perhaps, a photo walk of a singular person going through the through the fence, and then I would get in touch with area photographers. Well, virtually, it doesn't even have to be area. It could be any of the photographers on the fence and do virtual programming of presentations and such. UPI has said that they will move the clusters so that they have appropriate spacing between them. We would put signage on the X's to say, do not touch the installation. Why would we think that? I mean, we're thinking of the materials. Usually I don't think people would touch an installation, but for liability purposes, what I think which should be stated. The students have worked to come up with QR codes that would go on the installations, so people with their phones could actually find out more information on the artists. The students actually created that map that has I put in the explanation, and I've spent the money. So I'm pleading that we could go forward, and that it will be lit with fairy lights that would determine the outline of the installation, almost making them sculptures in the town. My personal opinion is that I don't think it's going to be a major gathering place for people. I think, it's a solitary, people look at art solitary, and I see more people at Horn Pond gathering to run than I think is going to be at the fence. I guess I put it out there for questions at this point, and I can explain anything else I missed.
Thank you, Paula. And I don't know if if Mary or Joyce had anything else to add as well before we start.
Oh, Joyce, you're muted.
I think both of you are muted. If Mary or
How's that?
Yeah.
yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Hi, I would just add to what Paula said. It has been a very fun and interesting 2 years working with the Griffin, working with UPI, and of course our brilliant high school students, both from Burlington and Winchester, who have done a beautiful piece that they're hoping, after all the disappointments that have taken place for them, will get their work out there in the public. And I agree with Paula, it is a solitary piece. I see all the people walking around looking for places to walk to social distance in the town. And if these were spaced correctly, it would give a destiny where people could just quietly walk along and take in some beautiful photography. And that's pretty much all I have to say.
I will add just 2 cents that maybe Paula already said, but we're thinking of it as a way to announce that people can start to be out and about as we enter the first phase of the reopening of the state.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions from members of the board?
I have a quick one. I'm looking at the map that you did, and thank you for doing that, because it really makes it clear that these are dispersed widely, and they're mostly or all on sort of green areas. They're not in the streets. Is that
Right.
correct?
Correct.
Yes.
So it's geared toward people walking, and as you said, just having,
Yeah.
walking along, stopping, and being able to see great photography. That
Yeah.
sounds like a great idea.
Our original idea was make it almost like an effort of people to get to know the town. We had wanted at some point to involve store owners and such. Our thinking in the beginning was that it would be an economic stimulus to the town. There are New England photographers on the fence as well. We wanted them to come, and maybe it still can be, but safely.
The other thing is the photos are large on the X units. It's not like the example Paula showed, which is from another event, which has them small. So people can stand back, like when you're in a contemporary museum and view the big artworks and enjoy it from a distance rather than having to get up close to take it in.
And then what are the dates? How long is this going to be up?
Through August 27th. And that's because UPI has a major installation, or had a major installation. I'm not sure if it's going forward or in a different format in Photoville, which is in Brooklyn, New York, underneath the Brooklyn Bridge. So they have to be there to manage that. It can't be here to deinstall it.
Got it. Thank you.
I just had a couple points. First of all, Paula, thank you so much for all you do for the Griffin Museum and for the town. I was looking up your, your bio was like incredible. And Joyce, it's so nice to see you supporting this because you're always supporting so many great things in town. And Mary, it's such a pleasure to work with you, and thank you for being here this morning. Just so creative and so exciting for Winchester, and I fully support what's been articulated and proposed. The only thing I would just sort of note is that if there's, as far as like the actual date when you think it'll be installed, I'm sure you guys would be doing this anyway, just as a reminder to kind of, maybe someone could just let the town manager's office know so that if there's any way we can, either have it on our website or try to help cross promote, because there may be questions like, oh, what is that? And that sort of thing, just in case there might be delay.
Sure.
And what did you say you think the install date would be in June?
Go ahead,
Hi,
Paula.
Mary. Oh, the 17th, and we're figuring it's not a single day install, probably 17th and 18th, and officially open it on the 20th. Is that right, Mary?
Yes, that's correct. The other piece of it is the banners. The DPW has offered to help put those up. So we're trying to work around their schedule so that we don't interfere with how busy they are. And there's only now 13 of them, so it should be fairly fast. And we also are going to be very careful not to interfere with the flowers that the chamber will be having. I think they'll be up by then on the light poles.
Yeah, and it's, particularly at this time, which I'm sure is not lost on you guys, but to be able to bring the art out to people as opposed to it requiring people to come in it's so tough now. And also just having this extra source of beauty in our town for the summer, it's just really, really such a wonderful plan. And we really thank for the creativity and also the investment by the Griffin Museum to make this happen and to continue to be known around the world, really. And here it is right in Winchester. So thank you again.
Oh, thank you, Jackie.
And one thing too, Jackie, is that's the whole mission of the district, is to put art in the public spaces. So I'm happy to hear you picking up on that.
Yes, exactly. I remember, and this is just so consistent with that and so creative also.
Thank you.
So are we ready for a motion?
I think so, unless there are other questions or comments.
Do you want us to leave?
No, please. stay.
So,
I mean,
yeah,
you're
my
certainly welcome
comment.
to leave afterwards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank everybody from who's been involved in this. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for people to go around and view the art and outdoors, especially with what's going on. And we know, as we learn more about this coronavirus, we know that 99.7% of transmission happens indoors. So I think this is going to be a great installation for people to be able to view art while also social distancing and being outdoors in the nice weather that we have here during the summers. So thank you very much for all the work you've put in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to say that Lisa has been a tremendous help to all of us.
Yes.
A great resource.
That's great. So I move that we approve the installation of the Photoville exhibit as requested by the Griffin Museum and the Cultural District. And that would be starting June 17th, and it would be excluding any installation on streets as presented.
Second.
Thank you.
I'll take a roll call vote. All in favor. Susan,
Yes.
Mariano,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes, and thank you all very much for this. This is going to be great.
and Jackie.
Yes.
And yes, for me, the motion carries unanimously 5-0. Again, thank you, Paula, Mary, and Joyce, and everyone involved. This is really, it's such a great asset to the community, and it's the right project for the right time. So thanks again, and feel free to jump off too. I know that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a nice day.
Thank
out there.
you.
Thank
You
you.
gave me
Have a good
tears.
day.
You gave me tears. Thank you very
Yes,
much,
me too.
everybody.
I'm crying too.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Have a good day.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda, Mr. Covino, who is the proprietor of Black Horse Tavern, has requested outdoor seating as part of his reopening efforts. And I know that Select Board has to give authority for that before I believe Mr. Covino applies to the ABCC for that ability. So, and it's something that I think that a lot of the businesses in the town center especially have been requesting, and maybe something that we would see a little more of. We've been talking a lot about it over the past few years, and a lot of communities have been doing it. So it's a good opportunity. I know that there's a little bit of paperwork involved too. So Lisa, I'm not sure exactly what we need for a vote on this, but I'll let you take a lead before I ask Mr. Covino for his request.
Yeah, no, first, thanks, Jim, for wanting to do this. This is exactly the kind of investments that we need businesses to make in order to, revitalize our downtown and kickstart the economy, and also get people to really regain confidence in what's happening. So thank you for making this investment. So I know that, Jen in my office has been working with Jim on the process, and because this is a kind of a zoning change, there needs to be a couple of hoops that hopefully in the future we can simplify. I think the select board vote is the initial vote in order to authorize this to go to the next steps, including the ABCC. I was actually just looking up because I know that the Representative Day had said that I think bypassing the ABCC was part of some proposed legislation that was being considered. I think they were considering a package yesterday. I don't see anything in the headlines, so I'm not sure if this was part of it. So I think it's safe to say we should just approve this anyways. Let me do some investigation, because it's better to have the approval and then, not have to go to the state and just sort of proceed with a more simplified approach. But I think at this juncture, we just need the board to approve, to authorize that Black Horse Tavern be able to use the portion of the sidewalk indicated on the application for use of outdoor seating for the restaurant.
Great. Thanks, Lisa. Mr. Covino, I don't know if you wanted to just kind of discuss what you're looking for to make sure we're on the same page.
Yeah, well, I sent it in with a drawing to describe the two sidewalks adjacent to the restaurant. I'm looking to, with the social distancing, I'm hoping to get 5 tables on each side with seating 4 people. I also described in the photo that we're going to rope off the section. We're going to work out getting 2 handicap ramps so that people can walk back onto the sidewalks from the 3 parking spots on each side that we're going to need for pedestrian throughways. So having said that, I'm looking for a total of 10 tables, 40 seats to offset the regulations that we're probably going to be seeing in the near future when we open up. I think I you know, if the 5 tables are too many, that it's not a 6-foot separation, then I'd have to knock it down to say 4 tables each side. But you know, I'm willing to work. We need, as you know, the tavern is small, and when we go to these regulations, when we do finally open, it's just going to be like takeout all over again, and takeout isn't really covering anything right now of our costs. And like I said, time will be of the essence. So I'd like to try to get this so that when we do, or when we can open up, possibly June 8th, to have this all set in place so that I can be ready to, you know, see people when we open up, and not wait any more, you know, weeks after that, or even days after that is going to be, you know, futile. So.
Great, thanks, Jim. Are there any questions or comments from members of the board?
Yeah, so I don't have any issues with this. And in fact, I'd like to see if we could explore as a board to expand not just the sidewalk, but possibly on Friday at 5 p.m., just close down Thompson Street for the weekend until Sunday night. And then I know that the post office needs access maybe Saturday morning to their back parking lot, but we could leave one lane open so that they can enter and exit from Waterfield. And then Black Horse could put tables on the street, at least on the half of the Thompson Street that is not open for the post office from Friday night until Saturday afternoon. And then all of Thompson Street from Saturday afternoon until Sunday night. Those are usually the busiest nights. I think turning Thompson Street pedestrian during the summer weekends, like we did for that one evening in September, it worked out great that one evening. So I think if we could explore doing that, given that we need to support our businesses that are in the town center that are going through something unprecedented. I would like to see if we could explore doing that.
This is Jackie. I just wanted to echo what Mariano just said, as well as what our town manager said. So first of all, I'm fully in support of what Black Horse Tavern has proposed here. And I thank Jim and his team for their investment in Winchester. And we're such a nice establishment that means so much to so many in Winchester. So this seems like a good idea anyway. But as Mariano just said, select person Goluboff just said, particularly now, it also seems like I was going to mention the same thing about Thompson Street. And, you know, even in regular times, that's something that maybe we should be exploring anyway, as far as temporarily closing Thompson Street for part of or all of the weekend to support the businesses and to support the community. And you can sort of visualize how great that would be, and to allow restaurants like Black Horse Tavern to be able to kind of spill out more into that public way. So I'm fully in support of this and fully in support of trying to see if we are going to have to take steps with respect to zoning, if this, you know, seems like maybe it's a good idea to consider whether or not any other changes would be necessary if we wanted to close part or all of Thompson Street on the weekends going forward, especially in the summer and maybe spring and fall. Thanks very much.
And just as a point of information, we have been discussing this with the chamber and some of the other businesses and the planning board as well to, you know, create some planning around how to make this possible. I think as Mariano mentioned, the Spirit Night was a great success, and you know, particularly I thought Black Horse did an excellent job of creating a safe, comfortable environment for the event, and really managed it very well. I was actually sitting out there myself. It was pretty nice. So I think that we do have to consider other businesses and their interests, especially with the construction coming online starting in the summer through the fall. There's always a concern about parking, so maybe we can evaluate the kind of parking options along with that too. Just to mention that, I don't know if Amy had any comments from the as our Chamber of Commerce liaison.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Thanks, Jim. This is a really exciting development. I'm excited to hear that this might be a possibility. A couple questions. So, would your setup on the street be a permanent fixture? Because I'm just wondering, in terms of your hours, would we be able to kind of take those spots back during the day, during the week?
Yeah, I would. Yes, I would have I have a guy there that does all this stuff. He'd be taking the tables and chairs in on a nightly basis. I wouldn't leave them out overnight.
Okay.
Out in the morning when we weren't open, it would be, say, setting up probably an hour, 45 minutes before we open up, putting the tables in and are out into the sidewalks, and the time it would take us to set up for the lunch hour or the dinner hour.
Okay, and what are your hours, or what would your hours be?
Our hours are on Monday through Wednesday, 4 p.m. to say 12:30 a.m.
Okay.
And then the hours Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are 11 a.m. open for lunch. So we'd have to start at 10 a.m. to
Yep.
On Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, and then that goes till 12:30 in the morning as well.
Okay. And then I guess we would have to talk about what the timing would be for the outdoor piece. It probably wouldn't be till 12:30, but I don't know. Maybe that is. Okay. Yeah, I was just thinking if there's a way to maybe, I guess Monday through Wednesday, we could maybe make those spots available to people going to the post office and other establishments. But yeah, no, I think this is great. Mike, to your point also, I think we just need to make considerations for other businesses, as Thompson Street's a little bit easier to close down for a weekend than Main Street, for instance. So just something to think about for other restaurants and establishments in town that we'll need to think about as well. But I think this is a great plan. So thanks.
Thank you.
My only comment, I'm in support of this, and I think the idea of closing down Thompson Street to vehicle traffic and having it be a pedestrian street during the weekends is also a great idea to explore. And I really appreciate Mr. Covino coming forward and being, taking the initiative here to sort of be the pilot program for doing this. I think it's a great idea.
And Jim, I know in the past when you did the Spirit Night, you had those heater units, the vertical propane heaters. Are you going to have those as part of? I mean, imagine this is something that would go into the fall and some.
And that was another quest. I wanted to go through the fall with this. If you are going to have a time frame on it, obviously in the winter time, nobody's sitting outside. But when we do get into the cold weather, that would be something that I would want to look into, and I'll probably, instead of rent them out, I may be purchasing those as well for outdoor seating.
Okay.
In the cooler climate weather.
Okay. Thanks. Are there any other questions or comments? Lisa, I didn't know if you had anything else to weigh in on.
Yeah, so the staff has actually already been working on a recommendation to close Thompson Street. There's a couple things we're thinking about. So, maybe Jim, while you're on the line, you can weigh in as well. So we were thinking 4 to 9 on Thursday and Friday nights, and then all weekend, Saturday and Sunday. What we do is we would close Thompson and allow sort of the furniture and sales to kind of go into the street, except the fire department still needs a 12-foot clearance. So we can close the street as long as we have sort of a 12-foot clearance where there's no furniture that needs to be moved if the fire department needs access to those buildings. So we're going to kind of map this out. We're going to also try to figure out the impacts of the Waterfield Bridge closure between mid-June and the end of August. as well as a couple of other projects. We're also going to evaluate the parking across the street. That might be, it's usually commuter parking, that we can make sure that people can understand it's designated for people who want to access retail. So creating some signage. And then we were going to run this by the reopening committee, the chamber, folks who have been talking about this in the past. But I've also been getting, emails from just private individuals who want to see something like this happen. They're eager for community. They're eager for opportunities to, socially distance at a safe level. So that includes, closing the street so there's enough space for folks. So we're working through all that right now. So hopefully we'll have something to propose shortly. And I know the select board for the remote town meeting piece, just to link that in, we're not ready for the vote tonight. So unfortunately we're going to I need another meeting next week. So we can talk more about this proposal then.
You're talking about the proposal on Thompson Street?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not the seating. Okay.
Yeah,
No,
so
we'll vote on it today.
I just want to say that I support voting today on letting the Black Horse Tavern use the sidewalk and the 6 parking spots around them. I just brought up the Thompson Street as something that we should do additionally at a future meeting, but I support moving forward today.
I agree with
Yeah, and Lisa, is it as staff is kind of looking at the street closure option, are we also kind of looking for other parking solutions too? I know that's always a question when we take away spaces, if there's a way for us to make it easier for people to park in that period.
Yeah, that's the intent, as well as when we close the Waterfield Bridge, there might be some implications for parking as well. So we're looking at at everything and making sure that we have the right signage. We're also looking at the curbside pickup locations. So I know retail, so non-restaurants, but other retailers are going to be able to do curbside pickup. So they've requested some spaces as well. So that's why we're kind of looking at this as like a holistic plan. So I didn't mean to imply that we were holding off on anything that Jim wanted. I just meant that this larger proposal, we might be more ready to propose that next week.
I've been proposing that for 10 years now.
I think a lot of us have been as well. Yeah.
I think especially this summer with so many office workers working from home and others who still have to make it to Boston, maybe trying not to take the train because of being packed with so many people. I think we could come up with a creative solution using some of the Arizona lot that is usually reserved for commuter parking passes to have for some business parking.
Okay. If there are no other questions, I think we can take a motion to move forward Mr. Covino's request.
All right, so I move that we authorize Mr. Covino and the Black Horse Tavern location of outdoor seating on Waterfield and Thompson Street as shown in their application, on the condition that all of this will be approved by the Board of Health, consistent with all regulations related to disability access and continued processing with the town.
Second.
I'll take a roll call vote. All in favor, Mariano,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Jackie,
Yes.
and yes for me. The motion carries unanimously 5-0. Thank you for your patience, Mr. Covino, and being willing to do this too. It's a great opportunity for the downtown.
Thank you, guys.
We'll see you there, hopefully. So, thank you. Okay. Lisa, and actually you had mentioned the meeting for next week, and I just wanted to poll the board before. I know some of us have to jump off a little sooner than others. So if I think it's necessary for us to vote on a couple things next week, as the motion book won't be ready until Tuesday. So what would I'm guessing this would be a Tuesday or Wednesday meeting of next week. I don't know if there are any schedule issues, or Lisa, if you have a suggestion.
Yeah, so Tuesday morning is the reopening committee meeting. So I think Wednesday or Thursday would be the days to consider. Plus, we won't have the motion book ready. You know, we'd rather distribute to you on Tuesday and have you have some time to take a look at it. And then we're still working on the remote legislation piece, and hopefully we'll have some update on either the court or any new legislation.
Is Wednesday or Thursday morning better for anyone?
Sort of, yeah. I was
I'm
gonna say I was
sorry.
going to use the Thursday morning, but
Yeah.
maybe earlier is better too. I don't know.
Either works for me.
Yeah, either.
If we can start at 8:30, that would be helpful.
So maybe if we do 8:30 next Thursday, does that work for everyone?
Works for me.
Just
That's
things
fine.
being as they are, it may help to have an extra day on there in case we do have to add agenda items, or if there are things that change. So, and I'm doing my best to get rid of these Thursday meetings. I'm sorry, it's just not happening.
You're not doing a very good job.
It's awful. It's awful. So I apologize. But so we'll do next Thursday, 8:30, and we'll try to limit the agenda to the kind of necessary agenda items, because we will have a select board meeting that following Monday. Is that right, Lisa? I think I don't have my calendar in front of me, but
Yes. Yeah.
so. Okay, great. Lisa, was there anything else that we needed to address right now or vote on before anybody else drops off?
The personnel board article would be I think the most time consuming agenda item.
Okay. We can start with the Article 23 that we need to take a vote on that today.
Yeah, so Michelle is on the phone from Human Resources. We had a personnel board meeting last night. They voted, I think, Michelle, my understanding is they voted unanimously on all the different components of the article,
Yes,
but do you want to walk us through it? And do you have it to share, or do you need me to do that?
Sure. I have it to share if you'd like. I actually just emailed it. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
I actually just emailed the final version to all of you. There was one edit from the personnel board last night. So you do have that in your email, but I can share it, Lisa, if you'd like.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I think you just need to allow me to share my screen.
Okay, try it now.
Okay, can everyone see the article?
I can.
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
a lengthy article. So it's 35 pages. I will try to go through as quickly as possible. You know, the lengthy piece of it contains the 3 MOUs. So I don't think we need to go into detail for those, as they've already been approved by your board and the personnel board. So as you know, we have the cover page, obviously. It's article number 23. There are 16 motions within the article, and I'll just go through each section and stop if you have any questions. Feel free to jump in and stop me. So motion 1 is pretty straightforward. These are classifications or reclassifications of positions within our compensation schedule booklet that the Personnel Board has approved throughout the year. So what happens is they approve it at one of their meetings, and then it gets added to our compensation booklet pending votes from town meeting. So on Schedule 3, they are reclassifying the junior engineer position from a PT 14. So we'll be deleting that position and adding it to a PT 15 level and changing the title to senior project engineer. Another addition is an addition in the town manager's office, which is a procurement administrator under PT 14. What happens with these positions as well, I would like to let you know, is they review, just like we did for the unions, comparable data around surrounding towns. We try to keep it consistent with the towns that we use. So they review the data and then they develop the range that these positions should fall under. That's what kind of drives where they fall on in our booklet. Schedule 4, there were 2 positions that were added, one in the planning department and one in the town manager's office. This was the edit that the Personnel Board added last night. The assistant town planner was not in the article that they reviewed. They decided to put it back in. They had approved it at a prior meeting, and they felt there was no need to leave it out, even if it was not being funded in FY21 or anytime soon. They felt it was okay to put it in the booklet. So that is going under grade D on the management schedule. Under grade E is the sustainability director, I think we've spoken about before. And then schedule 5 is miscellaneous positions. These are all stipends that certain positions, certain employees receive throughout the year. There is an addition of a risk management coordinator, and what this employee will be doing is, it's probably, I think Lisa, you said it's going to fall with the police chief. It's not the same thing as an emergency management coordinator, which is what the fire chief holds. This one is going to be in charge of security cameras, key cards. I know that's a big study that's been happening, so they're going to be taking care and in control of all that.
Correct. Yeah, basically everything that was outlined in the risk assessment plan.
Okay, so what we do is we state a motion and then put the background. The background just states the positions I just named and where they fall. Motion 2 is the funding for these. The only 2 positions that need additional funding are the reclassification for the engineer and the risk management coordinator. So you can see the total. What would happen is the $16,287 would come out of the FY21 unallocated wage account. Does anyone have any questions on either of those?
Are you going question by topic? I just have a quick question. Assistant planner.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna break it up and do sections because it's easier.
Okay, sure. Is it okay if I ask you about the assistant?
Sure.
So I thought your comments were clear as a bell, but I nevertheless just wanted to double check. So I guess in the wisdom of the Personnel Board and your team, it seems best to include the assistant town manager, strike that, assistant planning planner, even though it's not currently budgeted for or won't necessarily be committed to at any specific point in the future. But was it sort of deemed that because there are these changes to the personnel documents anyway, that this was a good time to add it since it's been previously discussed, even if it's not currently funded?
Correct. That is correct. So they had approved it at a prior meeting that they had, not last night's meeting. So they felt that just, because it, like you said, it wasn't being funded, doesn't mean we can't add it to the booklet to be funded later, since they've already gone through the entire process and kind of just, they don't want to lose track of it. So that's why they included it.
But by including it, it doesn't make a commitment for any particular date, I'm assuming, or any particular fiscal year to fund.
No, that is correct.
And just out of curiosity, is it fair to assume that there's other positions throughout the town where they may already be part of the personnel plan and structure, but they're not filled or funded either? Like this isn't the only one, is that fair to assume?
Yes, so two I can point off right now on Schedule 4, which is the management schedule. You have a health inspector under grade D, which has, to my knowledge, never been filled that I know of. And then you also have a planning and community development director, which was added quite a few years ago, which also has not been filled.
Right.
So those remain in the book, but they're not filled.
Okay, yeah, I actually remember that one. So, okay, thank you so much for the clarification.
You're welcome. Okay, so I will move on. Motion 3, this was a change. I don't think you all had seen the original article. Originally there was a 2% placeholder. However, it is 1.5%. It is a cost of living increase recommended by the town manager and the personnel board for all non-union employees. Motion 3 is the actual approval of the cost of living increase. Motion 4 is the funding for the increase. So what happens is each department needs an additional adjustment to their budget that they've already put in for FY21 in order to account for this 1.5% raise. That you can see in the motion, part of it comes from the unallocated wage account in FY21, which is the 106,408. Part of it comes from water and sewer retained earnings, which is 4,988. And part of it comes from recreation retained earnings, which is 21,066. The background just recaps that. Does anyone have any questions on the cost of living increase?
Michelle, just a question on the, I guess I'm assuming that the retained earnings are going for those specific department position increases for the COLAs?
Correct. So what happens for water and sewer and recreation, they have their own account. Any raises or wages increases, that comes out of their retained earnings every year.
And these are retro as well?
No, so these are effective. I'm sorry, these are effective July 1st. I should have said that.
Oh,
That's
okay.
in that motion
Oh, I
for
see
they're
that.
effective July 1st.
Okay.
Okay, we'll move forward. So the next set of motions, it's the biggest bulk of the article. Motion 5, we've talked about. This actually is approval for changing Schedule 8 of our compensation plan, which is for the police patrol officers for FY20, 21, and 22. This is due to a memorandum of understanding reached by yourselves and the association. Motion 5 lists all of the terms and conditions of the MOU. It is the entire MOU. The personnel board felt the need to explain to town meeting members, what they were getting. So they felt the need to include everything. So this is every part of the MOU. So I don't think I have to go through this. Please stop me if you have a question in particular about the MOU. I know we've talked about them. Motion 6 is the funding for the FY20 piece of the MOU. So what happens is, I think you've all seen the cost summary pages. The top row shows each individual year and how much the department needs in addition to their budget. The bottom row shows the compounded cost, and I'll explain that in the next motion. But for motion 6, it's just 40,817 for the FY20 piece. That comes out of the FY20 unallocated wage account.
Michelle,
yep.
Just a quick question. Sorry.
Okay.
Was there is there an increase in the detail rate as well there?
Yes. So if you go back, number 6. So number 6 lays out each individual part of the detail piece. So are you referring to a specific piece, or there's municipal details, there's non-municipal details? And again,
No,
and I
that's
think
just
Lisa,
what I was looking at. Yep.
no, go ahead. Okay. So it's broken out. This is of no cost to the town. Well, the municipal one would be, but the non-municipal is, I guess we really don't have, speaking from the chief, we really don't have a lot of municipal details that occur. They're more outside. So the vendor would pay the cost. So going back, motion 6 again is that FY20 piece. Motion 7 is along the same lines, but now you have to account for the compounded cost. So it's going to be that bottom line of the cost summary in that second year. So you have to account for the FY20 cost plus the FY21 cost, which amounts to $212,618. So that comes out of the FY21 unallocated wage account. And I think you've all seen the spreadsheet that I sent with the unallocated wage account balances. Moving on, same structure, motion 8. It is accepting and approving Schedule 9 of our compensation plan be amended. Schedule 9 is for the police superior officers, and it contains all of the terms and conditions that were listed in the MOU. Same thing as the patrol. You can see the COLA, you can see the detail language. There's a lot of information in there. Motion 9 is the FY20 funding. For the police superior officers, it is $26,480. That comes out of the FY20 unallocated wage account. Motion 10 is the FY21. Again, it's that compounded cost, what FY20 was plus what FY21 was. So it's $153,004. And that comes out of the FY21 unallocated wage account. Does anyone have any questions on the police before I move on?
I do, Michelle. Susan, just if you know, I'm just wondering what the head count is for these two units. Like, how many superior officers are there, and how many patrol officers do we have?
Give me 1 second. I can.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, that's okay. Luckily the comptroller does an extensive spreadsheet with the chief, so
Okay.
they laid all that out. So I can take a look. I just don't know offhand. So superior officers right now, there are 12.
Okay.
And let me just pull up the patrol. In patrol, we have and I think there's a couple openings. So with all of the positions that are funded, there's 27.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any other questions before I move on? We're almost done. So motion 11, same structure as police, only this is for our fire department, the Winchester firefighters MOU for FY 2021 and 22. Motion 11 contains all of the terms and conditions that were listed in the MOU. Motion 12 is the funding piece of it. The FY20 piece is $89,264 coming out of the FY20 unallocated wage account. Motion 13 is again that compounded amount of FY20 plus 21, and it's $476,563, and that comes out of the FY21 unallocated wage account. Does anyone have any questions on the fire? Okay. All right, motion 14 Um, our comptroller did a fabulous job, God bless her, going through our entire personnel policy guide, which is our rules and regulations for all non-union employees. There were quite a few suggestions on things that needed to be changed, edited, corrected, looked at. So what we did is met with the assistant town manager and the administrative coordinator, and we went through quite a few of them. I think what'll happen is maybe in the fall, there's a lot of cleanup work and it can't be done in one town meeting. In the fall, we'll probably be bringing more back to you. But for right now, this is what was able to be moved forward. There were a lot of minor changes that the personnel board doesn't feel need to be listed out, as they were wording corrections, spelling, formatting. There's a lot of just kind of minor errors that don't need to be spelled out. What is spelled out in motion 14 is the two changes that do have a financial impact. It is proposed to change longevity in keeping up with the rest of the bargaining units. I know non-union is not a bargaining unit, but they did request an increase to longevity. The assistant town manager and I looked it over. We came up with what the kind of average was of what everyone else is receiving and keeping them in line with the other bargaining units. So you can see the 5-year, 10-year, 15, 20, and 25, those amounts did change. The next piece is the wellness incentive program. This is what employees are allowed to do. We're trying to incentivize them not taking sick days. In order to do so, what we're doing is increasing the payment that they're allowed for the current sick leave buyback. So if you look, there's two sections, number 2 and number 3. Number 2 is for, in our compensation schedule booklet, there's professional technical employees and there's clerical employees. We're increasing the payment to $125 per day. And for number 3, we are increasing the payment to $125 per day. That is for managerial employees. Does anyone have any questions on either of those? Okay. Moving on, 15, motion 15 is the funding for those changes. Each department, it's similar to the non-union cost of living increase. Each department, due to those changes, will now need an adjustment to their budget to account for those. There is a piece, which is the $58,831, which will come out of the FY21 unallocated wage account. And then anything related to the water and sewer department comes out of their retained earnings, which is $3,875. And $200 would come out of the recreation retained earnings for their part of it. Motion 16 is you need to basically set aside, and Stacy can correct me if my language is off. You need to set aside funding that's left over. So after everything has been deducted from the FY21 unallocated wage account, you need to account for what's left over and what we're anticipating we will need. So we do have one bargaining unit that has not settled yet for FY20, 21, and 22. Lisa projected 1.1 million being set for the FY21 unallocated wage account. Using that number and deducting everything in this article out of that, it leaves $76,289. So town meeting does need to vote that in order to hold that in an account for future, for wage increases that will now be retro because they haven't settled yet. Does anyone have any questions on any of the motions?
Michelle, I was wondering if, I think Stacy Ward is on. I know that there was some information on the percentage increases of the contracts. If she could just weigh in. I don't know if the board has that. Stacy, if you're there.
I'm here. What information specifically do you need? Because
Just on, I know it's always confusing when we look at some of the financial impact of the contracts relative to step increases and kind of shifts and how they compound year to year.
Yeah.
So, we've been, battling with FinCom lately on, keeping our budgets at departmental budgets around 2.5%. I know that they're holding the schools to 2.7. When we look at the kind of FY21 and FY22 percentage increases based on that analysis, what is the result?
So just, I can go contract by contract. The Superior, the increase, so the base year, let's just say the base year is FY19 because obviously the contract's from 20 to 22. So the jump from 19 to 20 is 1.99%, which makes sense because the COLA is really 2% and the COLA increases various items, not the entire compensation package. So that's the change for year one. Year two, from year one, from FY20 to FY21, the jump is 9.32%. And then from FY21 to FY22, the jump is 8.8%. So in total, from current dollars to the end of the contract, the Superiors is a 21.31% change. So the patrol, similarly, the first year is a 1.98% increase because that has the COLA of 2%. Year FY20 to 21, the jump is 8.18, and then the jump 21 to 22 is 9.87. So the overall change is about 21%. So the reason why years 2 and 3 in both of these contracts jump higher than the COLAs is because they have rate shifts, compensation, the step shifts, and they drop some steps and they add steps, so that the jumps between the steps are also incorporated in those increases. So let's look at fire. Fire, it looks like the first year, the jump is 2.16%, and then the jump from FY20 to 21 is 11.51, and then the jump, is 9.16, and then the jump from FY21 to 22 is 7.7. So that's an overall 20% increase. Again, they had the COLAs plus some step shifts and differences in the columns per se, what we call them in the compensation table. Is that helpful?
Yeah, thanks. It's hard when you look at it because looking what's up on the screen, it looks like it's 2, 4, and 6%, but the financial impact is a lot different when everything is compounded kind of at the end of the day. So
yeah, because the new step, when you add a new step, you're adding the you see that the step levels are 4.2% higher, and then another one is 2% higher. So those add to those COLAs, obviously. And all 3 of the contracts have those sort of steps that are added like that.
great, thank you.
Yep.
I don't know if there are other questions from members of the board.
Okay, if there are no other questions, I'll just explain the back half of the article. So the second half of the article is all the appendixes, which wrap up all of the information I just talked about. Appendix A accounts for motions 1 and 2. Basically, it's just showing you the compensation schedules and how they would be changed. So if you look at Schedule 3, for instance, PT 14 has that junior engineer removed, and it has the senior project engineer placed under PT 15. And it also added the procurement administrator under PT 14. So we try to bold those and make those aware to town meeting members. Schedule 4 adds the assistant town planner and the sustainability director. Schedule 5 adds the risk management coordinator. Moving on, Appendix B accounts for the motions for the COLA increase for the non-union employees. All of these numbers are basically accounting for a 1.5% adjustment over FY20 rates. So you have Schedule 2, Schedule 3, And again, you've got to account for those positions changing. So we keep those on there. Schedule 4 with the addition of the positions. Schedule 5. Schedule 5 also changed. I'd like to give her credit. Pat Tassi decided to put it in alphabetical order because it was a nightmare trying to look anybody up. It was all over the place. So she put it in alphabetical order, so it is nice and neat now. And Schedule 6, which is the recreation temporary employees. Appendix C is for the police patrol officers. This is all 3 schedules for FY 20, 21, and 22. What we did was we actually, they had additional, there's 2 changes here from our current book. This column, there was only listed maximum after 15 years. The chief did say that there is a post 2009 and a pre 2009 number. So we decided to break those out. And also the changes, we used to have levels, you have P1, P2, and we had P3 and P4. P3 and P4 accounted for if you are a specialist, a firearms instructor, things like that, you get additional pay that's listed in the contract. However, specialist pay could be different for everybody. Patrol, it was a little simpler, but we chose to remove it anyway. It just makes it more convoluted and complicated when looking at the schedule. And the payroll clerk, and Stacy can correct me if I'm wrong, agreed with this change. She doesn't really refer to levels 3 and 4 when she is setting their pay screen. So she allowed us to remove it to make it simpler. So you have the FY20 piece accounting for all of the changes that are listed in the contract, COLA, anything that was added during fiscal year 20. You have the FY21, anything that was added in FY21. And you have FY22. Moving on, Appendix D is for the police superior officers for the 3 years. Same idea. The difference from our current book is that there were levels 3 and 4 under S and under L, which is the sergeant and lieutenant. And we really don't need to refer to them. It's too complicated. Specialist pay could be 8%, 10%, 12% for one person. It would just become very busy looking. So we decided to remove those levels. So you have FY20, FY21, and FY22. And last but not least, Appendix E is for the firefighters for the 3 years. You have the FY20 piece, the FY21 piece. We tried to highlight when there was a new step. So that is in bold here. And then same thing with FY22, we tried to highlight the new step. And that is it.
Any questions? I think that we need to take a vote on this now. Is that right, Lisa?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
I just wanted to thank just all those involved in this process with respect to the warrant article, and thank you for such a helpful presentation.
Does it make you miss the personnel board, Jackie?
It does make
a lot of work.
Yeah, it does make me recall that for several years there would be just so many different articles, and then in some town meetings there wouldn't be as many. But anyway, that's particularly why we're so grateful, Michelle, for you and your team and the personnel board on this.
Thank you. And speaking of, if anyone does know of anyone that does want to join the personnel board, we do have a couple of vacancies.
So are we looking to approve, do you need me to approve this and have it placed on the warrant? Is that what the motion should say?
So it is on the warrant. I think what okay. Your vote usually contains is recommending favorable action for this. We like to know that the select board is in favor of it.
Okay. Not something we do on the school committee, so I'm a little new to this. So thank you.
You're welcome.
So I would make a motion that the board recommends favorable action on the Personnel Board Article 23 as presented by Human Resources Director Michelle Ebert.
Second.
I'll take a roll call vote. Susan,
Yes.
sorry, all in favor? Susan?
Yes.
Yes. Jackie?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Mariano?
Yes.
And the motion carries 4-1, no for me. We have Susan McPhee that is waiting for us as well. I don't know, Lisa, is there anything else that we need Michelle or anybody else here for?
Nope, not for today.
Okay.
All right, thank
Thank
you.
you, everybody.
So we'll, I know that some of us have to jump off quickly and Susan's been waiting. Susan, could you give a little bit of background? This wasn't on our agenda, but is being taken up under the matters from the audience part of our agenda. And I know it's time sensitive, so we had to kind of get to it quickly.
Yes, thank you very much for letting me bring this to the table. Of course, a landscaper just started working outside on a neighbor's property, so I hope that doesn't interfere. Basically, for the last 2 or 3 years, Energy Management Committee has been trying to find an opportunity under the SMART program, which is the new state program for renewable energy and solar. And we finally have an opportunity. So what this is, under the SMART program, there's a program called Community Solar. In order for the state to continue ratcheting up its, every year more and more renewable energy, there are incentives built in for each utility needs to put more and more renewable energy online. So how those programs get built is often very profitable for the private sector. This part of SMART is to make it also profitable for community and nonprofit organizations. So when there's a big project, 50 megawatts, that's going to go online next year in Carver, which happens to be in our territory in Eversource. These are really rare. Normally our territory of Eversource is really built out, so there aren't very many projects. The way it works for the town is when the project goes online, they need to have 50 megawatts of demand that they have shown, and the town's housing authorities, nonprofits, universities that sign up to be that demand get a 10% discount on our demand distribution, the Eversource portion of our bill. So the bottom line is, when the project comes online, if we commit part of our load to the project, this isn't the supply, we still have a supply contract. If we commit the demand distribution part of our bill, we would then pay the developer, whose name is Clearway. They're a very big company, they're very well financed, they have a lot of projects online. We would pay them monthly what we would normally pay to Eversource for our demand and distribution. We can commit 10% of our load, 100% of our load, however much of our load. If we commit 90% of our load, we will then pay Clearway for what we would normally pay, and then Eversource gives us, instead of a bill, we get a credit every month for 110% of what we pay. So in essence, we make a 10% spread every month on the demand and distribution portion of our electricity bill. It's a 20-year contract. So in the first year, we would make about $61,000, and then that ratchets up slightly over time. So at the end of 20 years, it's over, I think, $1.6 million that we would be ahead. So given our current financial constraints, I thought it was worth bringing it to the board's attention. So the question is, how do we cross the finish line to get a 20-year contract? This is why we've never been able to do it before. So normally it's housing authorities, universities gobble all this up. So there's finally a project that if we can act, I asked if we could make it to fall town meeting. They said no, it'll be gone by then. So if there's any way for us to try to make this work, we could conceivably benefit that 10% spread monthly for 20 years.
Lisa, I know that the warrant is already out for Springtown meeting. Obviously, time is of the essence. It would be difficult for us to be doing a special town meeting on this article in particular, but it just seems like it's would be the best outcome for the town and consistent with what we've been doing. I don't know if there's a way that we can thread the needle and try to make this happen.
So Susan and I have not connected on this in person. So there's a lot that needs to be worked out. I think what we need today is just a general consensus from the board that this makes sense, and we'll do our best to try to figure it out.
So,
can I just note real quickly how much we appreciate Susan McPhee's dedication to the town, and you're always so professional and informational and helpful to us whenever we steer through these topics. And just wanted to, take advantage of the opportunity to thank you again.
Thank you.
Yes, you're here.
Susan,
you did a great job explaining it. As I understand it, at the end of the day, we will be paying for electricity through paying this developer.
correct. Right now, we pay two bills every month. One is supply, so whoever's actually generating the electricity. That's separate. So we would still be going out to bid to get our best prices on electricity. This is the supply demand distribution, the wires, all that stuff, the Eversource stuff. So this would mean we'd pay Clearway for the Eversource portion of the bill, and the program is indexed. What SMART did that the previous one didn't do, it's indexed to the G1 rate. So that means that we will always have that 10% spread. So the rate we're being billed on is the rate we're being reimbursed on, I guess. Under SREC, they had not done that indexing, so that's a handy improvement. So we'll always be a 10% differential between what we're paying and what we're being reimbursed by Eversource. So that's how Eversource gets all this stuff online, and communities get to make some money in addition to the private sector. And I just checked my phone. I had the spreadsheet up on there, and we make just over $1.4 million in 20 years. I was off, but it starts out at $60,000 a year and goes up from there. So in this climate, I was just thinking it's one job,
So why do we get reimbursed with a 10%? Like, I don't understand, like, where, I guess, I don't understand why we're getting the extra 10%. Is that, why wouldn't Eversource just do the installation themselves?
Yeah, good question. This is how SMART was built. So for a couple of years there, we kept on scratching our heads and saying, why isn't the state program designed yet? So this is the new iteration of how the state is incentivizing solar. So all the developers are making a ton of money, but they have to have subscribers. So when you look at the list of who's benefiting, the off-takers have been housing authorities, universities, but they built this in. This 10% is a mandatory part of, I think it's a spread the wealth on solar. But that's how SMART is constructed. So all projects that are going online, because it's a private developer, they're making a lot of money. So I guess it's trying to build in some benefit for municipalities and nonprofits. We just haven't been nimble enough to take advantage of it.
So I know that the proposal is out there to take a look at this. So maybe we'll have, if you and Lisa can catch up and we can put it on a future agenda item. For us, we are having a meeting next Thursday, but also our June 1st meeting, we are hearing from the Climate Action Committee on the Climate Action Plan. If we have to move quickly on this. I don't know if it's possible at this point, but we'll just try to keep it moving in front of the board as much as possible. Is there a general sense of the board that this is something that we have interest in?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Lisa, you can catch up with Susan and we can see if there's a possibility of getting this done for us.
Yes, and I've there's a couple of questions I've already thrown out to town council to see if we can answer too.
There is an example contract out there, so hopefully that'll help answer some questions or generate more.
Is this something that even requires town meeting approval, or is it something that can go through regular procurement, given that there's no upfront cost to the town?
So that is actually one of the questions I posed to town council and waiting for an answer.
Oh, okay, great.
Any other questions? So we'll add this onto our Thursday agenda as well, just to in case we need it. Thank you so much for coming on, Susan. If I'm not sure if you circulated the proposal to the board, but I think that we do have it and can do that. I think Lisa has it.
I sent an email just with the pro forma to everybody. I also have a slide deck about the company, and I have a model contract. So I'm happy to circulate whatever people would like to see.
That would be great, and everybody could kind of choose, what they want to use to inform themselves, and just to keep it moving.
Great. I'll send all 3 things then. All right.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Susan.
I appreciate your making time.
Sounds
All right.
Thank you.
Take care.
Lisa, is there anything else that we need to vote on right now? I mentioned that we have a hard stop at 10. I know a couple people have to jump off.
Yeah, no votes that I can see.
Okay. So we'll stop then at 10 unless, and we'll move everything to the other agenda items to our next meeting and try to take them up there. As far as our working session, I think it's something that's a priority for us. I don't want to keep pushing it off, but it's going to take longer than, 10 minutes or 2 minutes in this case. So want to make sure we spend some time. And I know that these things can seem tedious, but I think it's important for us. And it's been, historically, it's been really helpful for the board and for management. So any other questions or future agenda items? Otherwise, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So Mike, can I just make a quick comment? So regarding the working session, I know that in the past, the select board has often, obviously you can't do this now, but sort of met in the same room as a bunch of department heads and kind of gone through like a group exercise. So instead of maybe trying to slot this into like a select board meeting, we can figure out how to sort of do something similar virtually, where we can get, if you'd like, the department heads and other stakeholders sort of in the room as well. So they're sharing ideas, presenting things, we're prioritizing things. We can sort of figure out what worked in the past and how to make that virtual. Does that sound like maybe something?
Yeah, I think that makes sense, Lisa. And maybe it's a kind of a two-parter that we kind of do the values discussion first, and then we meet on the, with the departments, after that. When are we planning on reopening town hall for, meetings? And I know that people.
Yeah, so it's going to be by appointment only in an order that I'll be issuing tomorrow that will be in effect on Monday. So it won't be something that's available to the public.
Right. So we can't have a meeting if it's not available to the public.
Yeah, not during that first phase.
Okay. Any other questions?
Well, I would just say that it could be a two-phase, two-part discussion, because just the email that came out, it just looked like a very long discussion. I think it would be more useful to break it up. So I'm in favor of doing that.
Sounds good.
Yep. So I move that we adjourn.
Again.
Second.
All in favor, Amy?
Yes.
Mariano?
Yes.
Jackie?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Thank you, everyone, very much, and we will see you soon. Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks,
everyone.
Thank you.